Two brothers, one dream. And a rivalry so fierce it divided an entire town, tore apart a family, and changed the world of sports forever. This isn't just a story about shoes, it's a story about ambition, betrayal, innovation, and how two brothers transformed competition into one of the greatest business rivalries of all time. Our story begins in the quiet German town of Herzogenaurach in the 1920s. Germany was struggling after World War I. Industry was collapsing, people were desperate, and opportunity was rare. But in the back of a small laundry room, two brothers, Adolf and Rudolf Dassler, yet began to dream. Adi Dassler was the engineer, quiet, disciplined, obsessed with precision. He believed shoes could make athletes perform better, that design and innovation could change the game. Rudi Dassler was the salesman, charismatic, bold, driven by relationships and vision. Adi built, Rudi sold. Together, they were unstoppable. In 1924, they officially founded the Dassler Brothers Shoe Factory. With their mother washing clothes nearby, they hammered, stitched, and crafted each shoe by hand. Adi designed shoes with special spikes to improve grip and speed. Rudi convinced athletes and coaches to try them. Their mission was simple: help athletes win. Then came the Berlin Olympics in 1936. Adi took a massive gamble. He approached the American sprinter Jesse Owens, offering him a pair of his handmade running shoes. Owens accepted, and on the world stage in front of Adolf Hitler, Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals, wearing Dassler shoes. That moment changed everything. For the first time, athletes and spectators realized that footwear could influence performance. The Dassler name spread worldwide. Orders poured in. The brothers became pioneers of sportswear, long before Nike or Reebok even existed. But success has a price. Behind the fame, tension was building. Adi was perfectionist and introverted, focused on quality, materials, and craftsmanship. Rudi was outgoing and impatient, focused on marketing, growth, and domination. Their personalities, once complementary, began to clash. Then came World War II, and it changed everything. Rudi was drafted into the German army, while Adi stayed behind to keep the factory running. Communication broke down, rumors spread. Rudi became convinced that Adi had reported him to the authorities out of jealousy. It wasn't true, but suspicion replaced brotherhood. And then came the moment that would break them forever. During an air raid, both families took shelter from the bombs. When Adi saw them arrive, he muttered, "The dirty bastards are back again." He meant the Allied planes, but Rudi thought he was talking about him. That misunderstanding would define the rest of their lives. After the war ended, the brothers could no longer work together. In 1948, they officially split. Adi named his company Adidas from Adi Dassler. Rudi named his Puma, a symbol of speed, strength, and agility. And just like that, a family feud turned into a business war. Even the town of Herzogenaurach became divided. The river that split the town became a border between two worlds. Adidas on one side, Puma on the other. People literally stopped speaking to neighbors who worked for the rival company. When you met someone new, you didn't ask, "How are you?" You looked down at their shoes first. If they wore 3 stripes, you were Adidas. If they wore the leaping cat, you were Puma. The town became known as the town of bent necks. Adi focused on innovation. He believed the product itself should do the talking. His team developed new materials, lighter soles and better grip, all tested directly with athletes. In 1954, during the World Cup, West Germany faced Hungary in the final, in heavy rain. Adi's secret weapon? Screw-in studs that could be adjusted for the muddy field. Germany won, and Adidas became a symbol of national pride. Meanwhile, Rudi doubled down on personality and branding. He was the first to truly understand the power of sponsorships. He signed the most charismatic athletes: Pelé, Eusebio, and later Maradona and Usain Bolt. While Adidas represented precision and discipline, Puma stood for energy, passion, and rebellion. Adidas sold performance, Puma sold identity. Their rivalry went beyond business. They spied on each other, tried to sabotage each other's supply chains, and even poached employees. Each wanted to outdo the other. Every product launch, every athlete, every headline. But here's the irony. Their rivalry made them both stronger. Because of their competition, both brands pushed innovation faster than anyone else in the industry. Adidas created the world's first screw-in studs, lightweight running shoes, and advanced sole designs. Puma pioneered athlete endorsements and the fusion of sport and culture. Without their feud, the global sneaker industry might not even exist as we know it today. Even after their success, the brothers never reconciled. They lived their entire lives just a few kilometers apart, but never spoke again. When they died, they were buried in the same cemetery on opposite ends. But time has a way of healing what pride cannot. In 2009, employees from both Adidas and Puma played a friendly football match. The first sign of peace in more than 60 years. It wasn't about who won, it was about remembering where it all started, with two brothers, one dream, and one small factory in Herzogenaurach. Today, Adidas stands for performance, innovation, and design excellence, worn by the greatest athletes and artists in the world. Puma has become a cultural icon, blending sport, fashion, and individuality like no other brand. Their DNA remains the same: competition, creativity, and an obsession with winning. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Competition isn't the enemy, it's the catalyst. Without rivalry, there's no innovation. Without friction, there's no fire. Adi and Rudy's feud destroyed their family, but it built two brands that outlived them, inspired generations, and shaped a global culture. When you look at those three stripes or that leaping cat, remember, behind those logos are two brothers who refuse to settle. Two visions that clash so violently they created an entire industry. Because greatness doesn't come from comfort. It comes from tension, from conflict, from the need to prove something. Not to others, but to yourself. The Dassler brothers never made peace, but their legacy did. Their story reminds us that even broken relationships can build something immortal, if the purpose behind them is powerful enough. So, the next time you lace up your sneakers, ask yourself, what am I running from? And more importantly, what am I running toward? This is Wealth Untold. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because in the next episode, we're diving deep into the richest people who ever lived. From kings and conquerors to oil tycoons and tech billionaires. We'll uncover how they built their empires, what they lost in the process, and what their stories can teach us about ambition, power, and the true cost of wealth.